Hey everybody, welcome back to James Draws Everything, continuing our series of drawing every country in the world's flag. And today we are going into Southeast Asia, and we're going to be doing a country that suffers no fools. We're going to be doing Singapore. So Singapore, everything about this country kind of separates it from the rest. So for one, it is a very, very small country. It's a city-state on the Malaysian Peninsula in the Singapore Strait, so South Malaysia. And yeah, so it does have kind of a simple flag. Sort of looks like the Polish flag, but with a little bit more design in it. So I'm just going to start by separating my flag right down the middle with my red line. And then as I'm kind of doing this, James, what can you tell us about Singapore? Let's see here. Actually, let me fix that. Let me just make sure I get everything in the right place here. All right, hold on. Okay, so Singapore, hundreds of years ago, it was a Malay trading outpost, Malaysian people. It was the outpost of, I believe it's pronounced Temasek, and that was hundreds of years ago. It was lost around the 17th century, and in 1819, the British show up as the British are trying to establish a foothold in that part of the world, and they founded Singapore as like a trade outpost, right? So Singapore always had kind of a very mercantilist, kind of British-style mercantilism sort of background to it. You know, if you know anything about Singapore today, it probably is one of the like the freest countries in the world as far as like their markets go, right? A lot of free market capitalism in Singapore, one of the richest countries in the world. In 1959, Singapore gains full autonomy from Britain. And so they can pretty much make their own internal decisions, even though they're still kind of part of the British Empire, although their defense and their foreign affairs are still left to Great Britain. And then just got to concentrate a little bit here, guys. Hold on one second as I do these stars. Okay, it's got stars in the middle there with a crescent moon. And then so they become autonomous, and in 1963 they join what's called the Malay Federation, so with neighboring Malaysia. And then Singapore has one of the more unique independence stories, because they did not fight for their independence. They were actually kicked out of the Malay Federation, so they were kind of forced to become an independent state. So I can't really think of anywhere else in the world that's like that. Yeah, there was a lot of conflict and things that led to that. Kind of prior to that, like World War II, they were occupied by the Japanese. And then, like, later on, after that time, they formed, there's a party called the People's Action Party, the PAP. And it kind of started off as like a leftist liberal party. And as you know, communism was really starting to gain ground in that part of the world in Southeast Asia. And then when they were expelled from Malaysia, that had a little bit to do with it. Yeah, let me see. I want to keep this detail tight here, so I think I'm going to use these the fine side of the marker to do the stars, color around those. And yeah, where were we here? So yeah, when they were expelled from Asia, or from Malaysia, it was a lot of economic reasons. Singapore, with that kind of British mercantilist DNA, wasn't really like a natural contender to be like a communist country. And yeah, so they've been an independent country ever since 1965. It's just a small city state. Again, it was just a trading outpost that kind of became its own country. It is multi-ethnic, so there's a lot of like Indonesian people there. There's a lot of Chinese. There's a lot of Malays, Australians. So yeah, Singapore definitely has a kind of an interesting origin. You don't see too many countries that are forced into independence, but they made the most of it. They're definitely one of the richest countries in the world. Very very devoted to kind of free market capitalism. Singapore, as far as like their healthcare goes, I think it's an interesting model to study, because if you go to Singapore and say like you need a surgery or something, like they tell you what it is right up front, right? Because you don't have this massive like healthcare and insurance bureaucracy that you do in the United States and other kind of similar countries, the Western kind of a neoliberal world. So yeah, in Singapore, and we'll do a little Econ 101. Yeah, so James draws everything. Humble artist and YouTuber. I am also an economist, an amateur economist. But yeah, so when you don't know what you're paying for, right? So you don't know what your costs are going to be. If you're like in America or like any part of the Western world that has that kind of healthcare, so you don't see the price because hey, your insurance pays it. Well, if you applied that to other things that you buy, if you just didn't care what the price was and whoever you were buying it from just gets that money anyway, what do you think is going to happen to prices? Yeah, they go up. So Singapore has one of the more affordable healthcare systems in the world, and it actually does work. Let's fix those there. So yeah, it's free market types, like those kind of guys, they'll always kind of sing the praises of Singapore for those kind of reasons. As far as other things, though, like they're, again, I mentioned at the beginning of this video, they suffer no fools in Singapore. They have basically a zero tolerance policy for crime. Okay, so they execute drug traffickers, right? Just no questions asked. I remember kind of being a kid, and I remember Singapore was in the news for, what was it, that guy that spit gum or something, and he got caned, right? The Singapore cane, the kendo stick, the bamboo Japanese training sword or whatever. It's a bunch of pieces of bamboo that are tied together, and when you get hit in the back with one of those, it hurts like hell because they pinch really quick, they separate, and then it pinches on you. So in addition to hurting like hell, it pinches you too. And yeah, those are no fun, and I actually know from experience, being a stupid kid playing around with those. So yeah, let's do Singapore. Yeah, so what was his name? Michael Fay. He spit gum or something like that and had to get caned. They made a much bigger deal out of that than it actually was. I think he actually just willfully accepted his punishment, but it was more like the media just kind of grabbed onto that story and just had a field day ripping on Singapore's authoritarianism. And yeah, Singapore is very authoritarian, but again, that's kind of just how their culture developed. They don't tolerate crime at all. And is that why they're productive? Possibly. Is that why it's one of the safest countries in the world to be? Not really my kind of thing because it's all urban, but yeah, a lot of money there, a lot of technology. Interesting place because, again, it's just one of those countries that there's really nothing else like it, right? Its economy is just almost a complete open free market. It didn't even achieve independence on its own. It was kind of forced into it. It's a very small country. So yeah, Singapore, it's kind of the oddball out there, but it is kind of cool, I think. So, Singapore flag. It's got a white crescent over here, and it's got the five white stars. The red, of course, means brotherhood and equality. White signifies purity and virtue. The crescent moon means the young nation. 5 stars represents democracy, peace, progress, justice, and equality. And again, single party rule. So I don't know how much you can put faith in like democracy in Singapore, but hey, I mean, if it's working for them, you know, the People's Action Party has been the ruling party pretty much since independence. So yeah, that's Singapore. So let me know what you think. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video.